Well, a little story about the new toy I have over here, the new fly reel and rod. The story begins with my, well, it's not my first fly rod, but my first pike fly rod, and that's many years ago, and it was a hardy 8-weight fly rod with a hardy reel on it. And I used that for the traditional way of fly fishing from the bank, casting, stripping the line and striking like a strip strike. And that worked perfectly with that rod, and I used it for many years. But the moment I bought a Bellyboat, I noticed that a rod like that hardy 8-weight, is too soft to set a hook. And the reason is quite simple. If you're on the bank and you get a hit from a pike, you just strip strike like that. In a Bellyboat, that's impossible, because the moment you want to strip strike, you have your seat behind you and you can't move your elbows. So that means that the power has to come from the rod. And that hardy rod didn't have enough power, so I bought myself a Sage fly rod, also an 8-weight, but a little bit faster. And I learned after a while that that was not an improvement. So I sold that rod again, and I bought myself a Vision Big Daddy rod, especially for the Bellyboat. So that means that a shorter rod is actually a little bit better, but that Vision rod was available in an 8.5 foot version, and I bought myself a 9-weight. So Vision Big Daddy 9-weight 8.5 foot. And I used that rod for over a year, but I noticed that it still was not stiff enough. I lost some pike, sometimes even a lot of pike, and I bought myself a 10-weight loop Q rod, and that's by far my most favorite rod, and I will explain you why. This is a 10-weight 9 foot rod. The wall thickness of this rod is a little bit thicker than most of the rods. That means that if you are casting with a rod like this, it's a little bit heavier, but you know that I'm not casting all day, so only 10% of the time. So that means that the weight of that rod is not so important to me, and that little bit more thickness of the wall means that if you hit, for example, a tree or whatever, it doesn't break that easy. So that's important to me. It's a durable rod. But what's much more important is that this rod brings a lot of power in the tip of the rod already. Most of the fly rods I've used, the moment if you strike on a pike, I think that, let's say, 50% of the rod until the middle section actually completely follows the line, and the power only comes from the middle of the rod. And that's the big advantage of a rod like this. The power is already in the tip, and that's important for the technique I'm using. So, great rod. I bought this reel with it, the exact reel, and that was a little bit of disappointment, because that reel is perfect. The drag is perfect, adjustable, not a problem at all. It has enough capacity for a 10-weight line or even an 11-weight, not a problem at all. With backing, it runs smooth, not a problem at all. The only thing is that for a reel like this, it's actually, when I started using it, the fly line, the moment you take some line from your reel, moves over this part of the reel, and this is a kind of a I think it's carbon fiber mixture with something, or with aluminum, I don't know, but actually the fly line completely started cracking this bar over here. So I had to adjust it with a little bit with a kind of a stainless steel guide over here, and that's actually something that shouldn't be necessary with a reel like this. But now with this adjustment it works great for me, and it's by far my most favorite rod. And I think you have seen this in many videos, and I think I caught last year about 25 meter plus pike on this rod with this reel. Works great. But I needed a second rod because I sold that Big Daddy, that 9-weight rod, and that sage reel, which was a piece of crap to me. And I had my eye on a vision rod, and this is a big mama rod, a 10-weight rod, a 9-foot 10-weight rod, and has actually the same kind of action and power as that loop. The only thing is that the thickness of the ball of this rod is a little bit, the blade is a little bit thinner, which is perfect if you are casting all day, but to me that might have been just a little bit more thick ball kind of blank. But it is what it is. The only thing which I'm not happy with is this EVA grip on it. That's a cheap kind of crap. And I think that Nicholas Bauer only uses this because it's cheap, and there are a lot of stories why this should be better than a cork handle, but to me it's really crap. The moment I have a ring on my finger and I start casting with a rod like this, or even when I'm not casting, at the end of the day it's completely damaged over here. So I don't use a ring with an EVA handle, and to me that should have been a cork handle, but that was not available at the moment that I bought it. So I have to do this with this EVA grip, but I might build cork on it later on. Then something about this reel. I think it's a type of reel that not many already have seen, because it's quite new on the market. This is an Alfa fly reel, an Alfa, and the type is called Arctic 11, which is brought on the market recently. It's laser cut out of aircraft aluminum, so it's very light. It's not a very big reel, but it's capable to have an 11-weight line on it with 100 meters backing. I have a 10-weight now with 50 meters backing, and you see that there's enough space left. So it's a light reel, it's not big. It runs very smooth. It has a nice kind of sound in it, which is perfect to me, because the moment you have a run from a pike, it makes a great sound. That was also a problem with that, to me, with that sage reel I had, because that makes a lot of noise. When you have a big pike and you're fighting with that pike for 10 minutes, you have 10 minutes completely disturbed by that noise of that reel, so this is much better. And very important to me is that the drag on this reel is very good, very smooth, adjustable, and it has no memory. So that means that the moment a pike takes a run, it starts immediately. There is no hiccup or whatever, and that is caused because there are carbon fiber drag discs in this reel, and it seems to be better because they don't take heat, and they last very long. So to me, a great piece of equipment, and I actually wanted to buy a vision reel on this, but the moment I was in that tackle shop, the available vision reels for a 10-weight line were matte finish gold. Well, when it's Christmas, you might steal the show with that, but to me, that's a no-go. It was also a little bit heavier than this reel, but it was a very, very ugly thing, and I know that everybody has his own taste, and when you're thinking the opposite, that's okay to me, but I think it was a really ugly thing. So the moment I had this in my hands, well, I knew immediately this is something I will have a lot of fun with. So this is my new set next to the loop that I still will be using more than this one, but I think that this is a very good alternative for a second rod next to the loop. Okay, this reel is made in Finland. It's quite a new company. I've seen that they have some other reels in their assortment. So if you are interested in a reel like this, it's not a cheap one, but take a look at the Arctic website, and I think you will be happy with it.